Hey friends, and welcome back. Today, I thought it'd be fun to share just a big wrap up of all of the books that we have read aloud during our homeschool year. We had some that became instant favorites, some that were okay, and then there was one that my daughter felt really strongly about and just could not get on board with. I'll be sharing all of our honest thoughts and feelings with each one of them. So we are going to go in the order that we read them just because that was the easiest. So we started the year with The 100 Dresses by Eleanor Estes. Now, this is a short little classic story about a girl named Wanda who wears the same faded dress to school every day, but she tells everyone that she has 100 beautiful dresses at home. Of course, the other kids don't believe her, and it ends up being a story about teasing, bullying, and the regret that comes when you realize that you've hurt someone. My daughter gave that one a 2. She said it was kind of slow, a little boring, but I would have given it a 3. It definitely drags in some parts, but I thought it was worth reading because it gave us some space for some really good conversation. It wasn't quite what I expected, but it did its job. Next up was The Turtle of Oman by Naomi Nye. Now, this book follows a boy named Arif who is preparing to move from Oman to America with his parents. Before he leaves, he spends some time with his grandfather and they go on like these little adventures. They go fishing and exploring and just kind of soaking up the last little bits of being at home. Now, my daughter really liked those adventures with Grandpa and she gave this one a 4. I wasn't quite as impressed and I landed on a 3. To me, it was just fine, right? Not a bad book at all, but also not one that really kind of stood out in a big way. Then we picked up Akimbo of Africa by Alexander McCall Smith. This one has 2 different stories in it. So Akimbo and the Snakes and Akimbo and the Baboons. These are really quick kind of adventure stories about a boy growing up in Africa who finds himself in some pretty wild situations. My daughter gave this one a 3. She really liked the snake story a little better than the baboon one, but overall said it was just okay. I thought it was a little more entertaining than she did, so I actually had given it a 4 because it had plenty of adventure, kind of moved quickly, and the shorter length made it really easy to read. After that was The Toothpaste Millionaire by Jean Merrill. This is a fun little book about a boy who figures out how to make his own toothpaste, and before he knows it, he's actually running a whole business. It's quirky, it's different, and it's a little bit of like a, ooh, what if kind of story. My daughter gave this one a 3. She thought it was fun, but not like super amazing. And I agree with her. It's definitely one worth reading, but not one that we'll necessarily be talking about for years to come or anything. Then came Paddington by Michael Bond. Now, this one was a hit. Paddington is just classic, right? The little bear from Peru who shows up at Paddington Station in London and ends up moving in with the Brown family. He's polite and sweet, but somehow manages to cause the funniest chaos wherever he goes. My daughter gave this one a 5. She thought it was absolutely hilarious and loved comparing the book to the movie. I gave it a 5 too. Paddington it's just timeless, right? And it always delivers a good story. Next up, we read Meet Kaya, which is part of the American Girl series. This book introduces Kaya, a young Nez Perce girl, and gives a glimpse into her life and culture. Now, my daughter gave it a 4, mostly because of the Appaloosa horses. She really loved that part. I'd probably give it a 3. Honestly, it was really short and we read it quite a while ago, so I don't really remember a lot about it now. I don't really know if that's a good sign or not, but that's what we've got. Next came Race for the Record by Netta Jackson. This one was tough, okay? It's about missionaries translating the Bible. So there is a Christian mission focus theme, and I really appreciated that. But right at the beginning, someone dies. And then at the end, people are dying. And overall, it just felt like a really sad, kind of heavy book. My daughter actually gave it a 1 because she did not enjoy it at all. I gave it a 2. I liked that it was specifically Christian and it had some bright spots, but overall, it just didn't quite land for us. Then we read Hello, Miss Piggle by Betty McDonald. Now, this book is about a quirky lady named Miss Piggle who has all of these creative cures for children's bad habits. Things like refusing to take a bath and not cleaning their rooms. Some of these stories were funny, but the language was not great. And honestly, it just felt repetitive after a while. It's the same thing over and over and over again. My daughter gave it a 2, and yeah, I agree with her. It had its moments, but this one, we really just didn't love it. After that, we moved on to My Father's Dragon by Ruth Stiles Gannett. This one is about a boy who runs away to rescue a baby dragon. And along the way, he has to outsmart all kinds of other wild animals. It is short, it's imaginative, and it's kind of whimsical. My daughter gave it a 3. She thought it was okay, and it was kind of fun, but nothing amazing. I agree. I actually think if we would have read this a few years ago, I think my daughter would have really enjoyed it quite a bit more. So I would put this on as a better read aloud for youngers. Then came the Muddle-headed Wombat by Ruth Park, and oh my goodness, this was hilarious. It follows a very silly wombat who seems to always get himself into ridiculous situations with his friends. My daughter gave it a 4 because she laughed the whole way through and wanted to keep reading it. I gave it a 4 also. This edition actually has 4 stories in one, so we probably will circle back and read some of the others sometime. Next up was Owls in the Family by Farley Mowat. This is a collection of funny stories about a boy in Canada who brings home all sorts of unusual pets, including 2 owls. My daughter gave it a 4 because she loved the animal adventures, of course, and we thought it was really funny. I actually gave it a 3. I did enjoy it, but I didn't quite find it as hilarious as she did, but still, it's a really good animal story. Next, we tried Ways to Make Sunshine by Renee Watson. Now, this follows a girl named Ryan Hart and her family as they go through just everyday life, with Ryan learning how to be herself, right? My daughter gave this a 3. It was definitely better than Ramona, but overall, it was just okay. And I kind of felt the same way. I was really hoping to be a little more wowed, but it still was cute and it was a nice, pleasant read. I would suggest this over Ramona, of course. After that, we picked up Juana and Lucas. This follows a spunky little girl from Colombia and her dog, Lucas. This book is full of humor and also sprinkles in some Spanish throughout. My daughter gave it a 4, and she loved the layout with pictures mixed into chapters. So it's almost like a cross between a picture book and an early chapter book. I gave it a 4 as well. I did trip over the Spanish a little bit since I don't speak Spanish, but overall, this really was such a fun and lively story. Then we tried Tarantula in My Purse by Jean Craighead George. Now, this is a collection of real life stories about the author's family raising all kinds of wild animals. We had such high hopes for this one, y'all. We really did, but it fell flat. We both gave it a 3, and that's kind of being generous because we didn't actually finish the book. It started out really promising, but the stories just really weren't as engaging as we had hoped. We were expecting a bunch of fun short animal tales and really just didn't deliver. Next was Stuart Little by E.B. White, the classic story of the tiny mouse born into a human family and all of the adventures he has along the way. My daughter gave this a 4. She really loved following Stuart's adventures, and the little literature study we did alongside it really gave it some extra fun and good activities. She did note, though, that the movie is quite a bit different than the book, and I totally agreed. I gave it a 4 also. It's a classic for a reason, and I'm really glad we finally read it. And finally, last but certainly not least, The Lemonade War by Jacqueline Davies. This one was rough. It's about a brother and a sister who get into a fight and end up competing to see who can sell the most lemonade. Sounds fun, right? But the reality is not what we expected at all. My daughter gave it a 1. She thought the language was terrible and she did not like how mean Evan was. Honestly, if it had been up to her, we would have quit after chapter 1. I actually pushed a little bit to keep us going just to see if it got any better, and it didn't. We did make it about halfway, and that was enough. I do think there is a time and place to push our kids to read something that makes them uncomfortable when it can be worked through in the safety of our home and with our guidance. But I also think there is a time to listen to their discernment and their convictions. And this was one of those times. So yeah, we did not like the Lemonade War. And that is our Read Alouds of the year. Overall, it was a really fun mix. We even have a few more that we are hoping to squeeze in over our break. So I will keep you posted on those. If you've read any of these, I would love to know about your thoughts on them. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? Maybe if you have some suggestions for us, leave those down in the comments. But that is it for today's video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.